It's Electrics Week. Doug's been working with Energy Solutions UK on speccing our entire electrics list. We are attempting a 100% electric build with no gas on board. Maybe an outside barbecue, that's still TBC. And we like to live off-grid, away from campsites in places like this. This. So our electrics list is big and expensive. Lots to understand and work out. But first,
one of the things we need to do is we need to tilt the front of the truck forward, have a look at what alternator it's got in, just in case the Army or anyone swapped it out at any point from what comes standard on the HX60, and then we can send them the specs and work out what product's right for us.
You can see two pumps. That must be to pump that down, and this must be to pump this up.
Is that like a hydraulic pump?
Yep.
There we go. Tilting.
Check the front grille here. Sometimes they come up. So that comes up. Because when the cab goes over, it might touch on the bottom here, you know, I don't know what the angles are.
So leave that up.
Leave that up.
Washer liquid, oil.
I don't know where your dipstick is or whether it's done on the dash. Another import, but fine.
Yeah, it's a good thing you lifted that because that would have definitely caught in there.
It was an easy pump, so don't start forcing anything. Tent like a sticker or casing. It's a range between 24 and 28 volt, 50 to 120 amp hour.
And that's just hidden right on the back, is it?
Yep, right on the back of the alternator. That there, if you ever run out of diesel, that's your bleeding unit or your pump to suck the diesel up. So you undo that and it comes up as a pump and it'll pull the fuel up from your tank, God forbid if you ever run out. And you just keep pumping that forever and hopefully it will start. In the old days you used to have to crack off a bleed nipple, but normally there's enough down in modern engines to pump it up and it pulls up.
Well, and that's once you've refilled it?
Once you've refilled it, yeah.
We have had a delivery of Victron products and we've got a drawer full of them over here, which I'll break down in more detail. But effectively the big stuff here, we've got a big Victron Quattro 8,000 watt inverter. We've got two pretty big 25.6 volt 304 amp hour batteries with the mindset that we can always add more if we feel like we need it, but hopefully the two are fine. We've got solar controllers, we've got kind of fuse boxes, two Orions, the servo and the screen for monitoring everything. So all of that's arrived now, and what I'm having to do is work out where it's all going to go. Rather than try and do everything myself, especially the electrics, which I had originally thought I was going to try, but at this stage in the build I figured find someone who's an auto electrician who does van conversions and try and leverage some of their knowledge. I met an awesome guy down at Hythe Auto Electrics called Ollie. Took the truck down there the other day, we had a look around. He's happy to help. And I've kind of planned for this space to house the electronics. Some of the items like the big 8,000 watt inverter, which is pretty bloody heavy, needs to be mounted on a wall. It needs to have access underneath it. So what I'm doing now is trying to work out how I build this back wall super strong. He suggested the back wall be my 18mm rigger ply, which is what they do, like the hexapattern black ply that we've got everywhere. But he wanted it to be even thicker. And to give you an idea of just how heavy all this electrical stuff is, when the pallet arrived with this stuff on, the pallet was 400 kilos. So just remember that. Electric pallet, when it turned up with the two batteries, the inverter, and a bunch of other stuff, but most of the weight is in those three things, was 400 kilos. That's heavy. And they're really hard to lift up. So once they're in place and bolted in, we want to make sure that they never come down. I have cut top sheet. This is the back side of it, so the rigger pattern is on the other side. I've notched it out for all my aluminium so that it fits really nice on there, and I'm going to use hardwood ply, Stixall Super Bond adhesive to the back of this. Yeah, Stixall Extreme Power adhesive. So I've cut my hardwood ply, and then I've got my other ply here with all the notches. So all I need to do is stick that one to that one and then do my notches, or try and get perfect notches on here, then stick them together. So maybe I put this on top and I draw or trace onto that one so I know that I've got it all right, and then I chop it and then I glue them together. They're pretty much 1 meter by 1.5 meter boards, 18mm ply, so they're heavy. So when I stick 2 of these together, it's going to be even heavier. Then fingers crossed this all actually works. It's strong enough and can hold all our heavy inverters and so on onto the wall. Should be enough. For better or worse, we now have it stuck together. Well, we now have it sticking together. 36mm of board there, and then I've gone round and clamped each corner and the bottom here and tried to put some heavy batteries and stuff in the center to push that down. So hopefully when we come back in tomorrow, that is stuck together and I have the strength to lift it up into the truck and then get it in place at the back wall behind all the batteries where it needs to go. Our back sheet, it's been setting all night. You can see over here I've got a connection into the hab, which holds our frame really nicely there with these M8 coach screws. These are about 130 because obviously they need to go through a piece of aluminium and then thread through the center of this and then into our wall on the other side. And that gives us a 40mm hold into the ply / GRP / sidewalls. 120 would have been better, but they only do these in 100, 130 and 150. So I'm going to put a mounting over here. We've got one at the front here. We obviously have the ones in the floor. And for context, because I've been talking about it, the coach screw goes in here with a flat washer, which helps it stick on the outside of that extrusion better and get good kind of strength in there. Threads through the center of our extruded aluminium bar and then into our frame here. And that gives us a pretty strong hold. Obviously, that's a critical point of failure. So getting these right in the truck is a huge piece because our frame does support a lot. The inverter is what needs to go on this wall, plus a bunch of other things. And the inverter weighs quite a bit. If I was to try and lift this bad boy out, it's probably about 20 something kilos at least. One here, one there, roughly about 32mm up from the floor, and then up into each corner. They're about 6 centimeters down on either side. So that gives us quite a few points of contact. We have at least 4 going directly into the wall, and then we have our floor mounts also holding it in place. And I think we probably have some higher up as well going into the roof. At the top of that, we have roof mounts as well, because the board that'll go in here will spread the load across here. And yes, we will mount into this, but I think the tensile strength of the board will actually add to the strength. So me pulling on this and going, oh, it might, flex a little bit, is probably negated by the fact that there's a 36mm board that's gonna go across here. Backboard in, fitting really nice. And not even snugly, just perfectly on this back rail here. And the most important parts, the access to those bolts through there, which we've managed to line up pretty well around our bracket here, still giving us access there. And then it's stepped in and then on the floor perfectly as well. To show you how thick this board is, right, that is 2 sheets of ply thick. So absolutely monstrous connection there between our 2 sheets of 18mm ply. And then we've got our gap behind of about 5.5 to 6 centimeters for running any cables. So behind our whole truck, we're allowing for cables, piping, plumbing, about 6 centimeters, which is good. So those kind of joints at the bottom that have been put on by the hab builders are actually pretty handy because they forced me to move my frame in, which means that I have, almost by accident, I don't know if I would have done it without that, allowed for plenty of space for cabling and plumbing or anything through the back of this. Let's get into trying to find our center points on this aluminium so that we drill through the center of this extrusion here and get our hold right through that thick internal layer of aluminium. So next step is sidewalls. 2mm. Added my little bottom notch. We'll get that in a lot easier. Oh, look at that rain outside. The weather has definitely shifted from summer to autumn. Feels like winter, but autumn. It's in, but it is raining very heavily now. And I can't even leave the door open because rain's coming into the van if I leave the door open. So this might slow me down for today. I'm not going to be able to sand and seal these. It'll be impossible to get them to dry. I'm trying to get as much weight as I can at the front of this truck to offset our water tanks at the back under the seating area. So that is about 500 litres, which translates to about 500 kilos when full. So our power being up here is at least 400 kilos, not to mention all the ply and everything, which should hopefully offset some of that weight at the back. That's my theory anyway. A wise person, a fellow HX60 builder, said it's not necessarily about where you put your water tank, although it'd be nicer if it was at the front, like his is, but it's more about weight distribution and making up for those kilos at the other end that you put down that end. So that's what I'm trying to do. Right, let's get onto the other wall. They are bloody heavy. We now have our box ready for our electrics. We've got our 2 batteries. We've mounted our thick 36mm ply 218s stuck together with some Super Bond construction adhesive, and then we've done 18 on the sides. I've put this roof piece on, which just helps hide, you know, the aluminium underside, which you see because there's strengthening beams along the inside of this one in the center here. Fixed the roof piece in here and in that central piece because we have a bar of aluminium that runs along here, and I might even fix it in again kind of midway through. And then I've just used these black L brackets that I had to make sure the roof is at a consistent height all the way along and provide a bit more support. And then I've come along here and I've put my first facing piece of our really nice cabinetry ply, which is 18mm again, which covers up the edge of this ply even though it's sealed, and the edge of that roofing ply. And I've done it so I've got about 22mm along the inside edge here. So if I want to mount a strip LED in there that turns on when we open the door, I can do. That'll be really nice, sanded, painted, and I'll wood fill, and maybe countersink these a little bit further, wood fill, sand and paint. Guys, Scott here from Hive Auto Electrics, and he's going to talk us through all the various cabling for First Fix Electrics.
That's it, First Fix Electrics. So we spent the morning using masking tape to map out what we wanted. It's going to be our wall for monitoring, for the 230 electrics, interior light switches, and then obviously we're going to have an oven in here. We're going to have a 230 point here as well, so both of this area is going to be covered. This is going to have a top cupboard across it, so we're going to have LED lighting that actually runs the whole way round, so it almost acts as like a halo, sort of comes round all of like the cupboard top, moving into this area. Going to be having a big table area, LED lighting underneath here and on the back walls, LED lighting on the top and round as well in the bedding area. And then when you're sitting down here, we've got two 230 points on the front face, two 230 points on the back face, USBs throughout in different areas, so when the kids are sort of sleeping up on there, some in the living area as well. Then we've got lights, extractor fan in the bathroom, and we did speak about also LED strip lighting all the way around there. And then the cupboards are all going to have what they call reed switches, so when you open these doors they'll automatically light up, and when you shut them, same again, they turn off.
And we're going to put all the cables in, and hopefully we've covered everywhere we need a socket.
Yeah.
But we can always adapt it later.
Yeah, well, the good thing about, like what we were saying about how you've built it, is that you've gave at least 50 mil behind every single panel. So in the event in the future you go, oh, I'd like something there, I'd like something there. As long as we do everything right, we should be able to run a cable in at a later date.
Okay, a bit about our power setup. We're installing 8 solar panels on the roof with a total maximum wattage. Aluka is here with me and she is sick. We're all battling sicknesses in this household and still trying to record voiceovers at the same time. Okay, take 79. That's 4 panels, each at 465 watts, positioned like this. Underneath these on slide-out rails will be an additional 4 panels, giving us an additional 1,000 watts of solar. Total number of watts, drumroll please, 2,860. Now, the benefit of slide-out solar versus tilting your panels versus additional portable panels is up for discussion, which will yield the most power. It may or may not be the setup that we're going for, but for how we intend to travel, which ideally is nice and slow, parking up for a few days at a time, we're hoping to have the additional panels out for most part of the day. But of course, as we travel, we'll keep you posted as to how our setup performs.
Just setting up the table, ready to lay out all our components on top.
And this is probably 150 kilo maximum that you could put on this bench. We've just loaded it right up. You can see that it's bowing, and hence why I put the big 24 8000 Quattro on the end, just over the legs. So first of all, this is 2 different circuits of solar, 8 panels on the roof, different sizes, in which case you end up having to use a different controller. The general rule of thumb is, if you have a different size panel, not all the time you'll be able to link it to a smaller panel. We've already got the solar charging, we've got the way that it will charge from the alternator. We need a way of charging it from when you hook up, so from the shore power, and that's where the Quattro comes in. So this is basically a dual input inverter. You can use it both or either on shore power, or if you had an optional generator, you'd also be able to feed the generator into this, which then effectively will power your 230 system for your plug sockets and your appliances. Because this is 24 volts, instead of you getting, say, 3000 VA, which is roughly about 2600 watts on 12 volt, you're getting 8000 VA. If you do the math, it's probably 6,000 or 7,000 watts roughly that you're going to get off-grid through your 230 sockets. On all of these controllers will go into this unit, as well as the main battery feeds. So this is effectively an external BMS, which means that they are effectively just lithium cells. Those batteries, they have no physical computer inside each battery to sort of with balancing the cells and everything like that in both batteries. That's where this little device comes in, big device. And you've got data ports which basically connect from the batteries into this unit here, this MG unit, and then you will connect your batteries in the battery side, so your main positive and your main negative will go into these. And your chargers and loads is effectively what is safeguarding the cabling for all of your solar controllers, for your DC to DCs, for your fuse boxes, for basically every large thing that we are powering will be in here with a main fuse, which just makes it super safe. And then moving on, we have an isolation transformer safeguarding between AC and DC. It will actually cut off in the event that it sees something that it doesn't like. I mean, these are used commonly on boats so that, you know, if the propeller or something got hit, then that would detect like a ground fault and then it would switch the whole system off. So that's really just like another safeguard. So in the event something happens, it effectively says no. This is kind of what they call bidirectional. So you have an input and an output. The ground is what you'd call a common ground. So it usually earths directly to the chassis of the truck, directly on the best chassis ground you can physically find. And what it does is it can do two things, this unit. It can work automatically. So when it sees an increase, so for example, when you start your truck up, the voltage will increase to charge your vehicle batteries. This little unit is preset to say, when I go over X, I will switch on, and then I will allow current to flow out of the output of the unit. But what it also does is instead of it just allowing it to go through whatever it's charging at, this will actually also convert to what these batteries need. So we can fine tune this to whatever the specification of these batteries want when it's being charged. Got a range of different mega and midi fuses. There are going to be more fuses, of course. Everything's going to be electronically, hydraulically crimped to 4 ton. So you've got the Servo GX and the 7-inch touchscreen. Effectively, your whole Victron electrical system will go into this box and it will be displayed on this screen. So you will be able to see what's coming in from the solar. You'll be able to see what's coming in from your alternator when you're charging. You'll be able to see when the inverter's switched on. You'll be able to see when it switches over to shore power. It will show you water tank levels. And this little unit here is effectively the hub for your whole electrical system to kind of monitor everything. When you've got your Starlink installed, you will be able to go and link all of that. So you'll be able to actually connect into it from your phone. So if you're trucked in England and you're in Australia, you'll be able to see,
check the batteries.
Check the batteries.
We've got two pretty big 25.6 volt, 304 amp hour batteries with the mindset that we can always add more if we feel like we need it.
That one is the double socket on the kitchen and also to that one on the kitchen. So if it does trip, you only lose those two.
So we've got all the cables coming through here into here. We've drilled our little holes going through, so that goes up into the cabinetry.
This is all being boxed off. Everything effectively will come off of this point and this will be covered as well. So you won't see any of those cables. We've only got that side, that side, that side, up there, down there.
All the Christmas lights.
All the Christmas lights. Certainly take a bit of time, but it'll be worth it.
Tell us more about your long drill bit.
So we're going through multiple layers, so
because some idiot put all his walls in and we need to drill holes in them now.
It's fine. We only need to drill one hole, so we can only get it wrong once. You got your cut edge. If I go above it,
towards the wall's safer. Yeah, we're going to drill through that skin, then round through that gap there into this side wall, and then run the cable behind there, hopefully coming out down here. day 2 of our first fix electrics. Yesterday we got a whole bunch of these cables run all the way through to the back of the truck. We're going around the back of the seat and doing all our actuator arms. And today we're mounting all our batteries, Victron inverters and everything, and hopefully getting first fix electrics done. So we know where everything is, all the cables can run where they need to go, and then it will just be second fix at a later date where we go through and put power plugs, LEDs, all that sort of stuff. So today's a big one.
So we spoke about potentially having another battery in the future if we need it. So we've got to allow for that. Both of the sides, we've got 18 and 18, but we've got 36 mil on the back wall, which is perfect. What I'm thinking, fuse boxes, the consumer units, which are things that you will need to physically get on at one time or another to check a fuse, to obviously, if something accidentally trips, you can trip it back on. So I think on both of these sides, everything will be running in like a blue conduit. As we've got so many cables sort of going in here, it makes sense to use the biggest one from here all the way around. And then the batteries will sit obviously on the floor because they're going to be super heavy. Victron Quattro above and the isolation transformer, and then the consumer units and the 12-24 volt stuff down this side. And the stuff that's not necessarily needed to be accessed to, like the DC to DC, solar controllers, can go a little bit further back. That's a serious bit. Okay. The isolation transformer won't stick out as far, probably stick out to there, which gives us a wall there, and then that will determine where the transformer goes on that wall. But we still need isolator switch, 12 volt fuse box, 24 volt fuse box, DC converter, and we still need consumer units.
It's been super helpful having Ollie and the team from Hive Auto Electrics helping us out with cable sizing and being super patient with explaining what things do and how they need to work, as well as helping us run our cables in what we're going to call first fix electrics. Don't worry though, we're not outsourcing all our electrics. I'll be doing subsequent videos on my LED selection and installing all those, as well as location of power points, cutting and installing everything else, getting it ready for what we're going to call second or third fix. But when it comes to connecting the power points up to the cabling, that's one thing I really wanted to have peace of mind for, especially when you're dealing with 240 volts. And I can't recommend Ollie and the team from Hive Auto Electrics more. They've been super helpful, accommodating, and just very patient in explaining everything to me. So if you're in the market for an auto electrician down Kent Way, hit these guys up.
And that's a wrap from us for a while. We are heading to Australia for Christmas and New Year, and the truck is going north to Doncaster for hopefully the last time. So we'll reconvene in January with hopefully a black truck and just a few weeks left to finish the build.